Hello everyone, it's great seeing you again, and thanks for joining us for this Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy, meteorologist with the National Weather Service, hosting today's show once again. Up first, hazardous weather graphics. We've got a few out. Red area there, Kodiak Island, and all the way and the coastline there. That's a high wind warning, and that is out for, tonight from 1 a.m. Sunday morning until 11 a.m. Sunday morning. High wind warning there. Northwest winds will be on the increase. Looking for sustained winds, especially on the east side of the island there. 40 knots, gusts to 75 miles per hour. I'm sorry, not 40 knots. 40 miles an hour, gusts 75 miles an hour. Again, from 1 a.m. until 11 a.m. And let's move along there. Actually, Northeast Prince William Sound has a winter weather advisory out, including Valdez to, Thompson Pass for 4 inches of snow. Gusts 35 miles an hour on the wind, so blowing snow, reducing visibilities there. The Valdez red dot covering it up there. And now go up into the interior and we'll see another warning area there. That's a winter storm warning for the Tanana area on down in toward Nenana, and then into the northwestern Alaska Range or on the northwest side of the mountains. And that continues until, 6 p.m. Sunday. 6 p.m. Sunday, looking for anywhere 8 to 12 inches of snowfall total from actually starting yesterday until tomorrow afternoon, looking for 6 to 12 inches of snow, heaviest toward Nenana. And that's, again, for tonight and tomorrow. And then winter weather advisories for the eastern interior Alaska Range right on up across the Yukon Flats to the southeastern Brooks Range. Winter weather advisories out until 6 p.m. Sunday there for anywhere from 3 to possibly 7 inches of snow with gusty winds, blowing snow, reducing visibilities under half mile at times. And then in the case of the western yellow areas there, that is for wind chill advisory. Kobuk Valley, Noatak Valley, Northwest Coast, and that's out until, 6 a.m. Sunday for the West Coast there. And 45 degree below zero wind chills expected with winds gusting 30 to 40 miles an hour. And Seward Peninsula, same thing, wind chill advisory, as well as St. Lawrence Island and the Bering Strait coast. There, wind chills to 50 degrees below zero with winds gusting to 45 miles an hour, 30 to 35 miles an hour. And then finally, there in the Panhandle, Klondike Highway, Skagway and Haines, heavy snow warning for tonight. And that's for looking for, 7 to 11 inches of snow with winds gusting to 40 miles an hour. And that is out for tonight into Sunday afternoon. So heavy snow expected at least through the morning tomorrow, overnight tonight, and then starting to maybe diminish later tomorrow afternoon in that area. Again, that's the Klondike Highway with the cities of Haines and Skagway. And that about wraps it up for the warnings and advisories. On the satellite, you can see a system there starting to crank up as it gets south of Kodiak Island. It'll begin to turn to the northeast about midday today on the picture there, and moisture streaming into the southeast coast there in the form of rain along the coastline. And areas of snow over the interior kind of tapered off. Cold air coming down again out of the north and northwest. You can see the ice over the northern Bering Sea with the colder, clearer skies. Temperatures below zero, St. Lawrence Island up into the western and northwest interior, and 35 to 40 below zero this afternoon for the North Slope and the eastern Arctic coast, with Umiat Airfield sitting at, minus 37 at 3 p.m. and minus 36 over toward Kaktovik and Deadhorse, and Kaparik at minus 35 below zero. So quite cold again up over the North Slope, and winds kicking up to 35, 45 miles an hour to the northwest. In fact, on the lee side or the Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula, winds gusting up toward 50 miles an hour at Chignik and up the coastline there. Not reaching Kodiak Island yet, but they will. And then out to the west, you can see that bright cloud shield associated with a big storm coming into the already into the western Aleutians. Will be entering the Bering Sea later tonight and progressing eastward. Otherwise, high pressure in advance of that, kind of making for a break over the central Aleutians today, although the thick cirrus now spreading in and over the Adak area, and eastern Aleutians not looking too bad, as well as the Pribilos, kind of cloudy there. under northerly flow with some breaks, and again, snowfall levels coming back down to sea level today, but not quite, still above freezing there along the Alaska Peninsula. But those gusty winds, cold air just to your north will pull the snowfall levels back down to sea level here this evening. Low pressure will track up along the Kenai Peninsula, and again, the rain, moderate to heavy, well, not that heavy, kind of moderate at times for the central areas in toward Prince of Wales Island, but nothing unheard of. And then areas of snow pretty widespread, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches around Iliamna. Saldana picked up 1 to 2 inches today in the last 12 hours. And snow fell over the east interior there, Fairbanks into Nenana and the central interior, all the way up to the Brooks Range. And for tonight, that big storm out west, the center, pushes in between Komodorski's and the Chimay-Attu, falling to 962 millibars, and then the tight pressure field storm force winds coming into Adak and eventually into Atka. Probably won't reach Atka until tomorrow morning. And then higher pressure in advance of that, light winds and dry conditions for the eastern and northern Bering Sea, St. Lawrence Island winds coming down, as well as the eastern Aleutians, and stays windy with snow showers over the central Alaska Peninsula, mostly on the Bering Sea side. And then the strong winds there into Kodiak Island. Out of the northwest, they'll tend to clear it out, but again, looking for gusts 75 miles an hour with strong winds through the passes of the western Alaska Range as well. And could be some blowing snow mixed in with the winter weather advisories there. Snow, Kenai Peninsula, Copper River Basin, mixture of rain and snow, eastern North Gulf Coast, mostly rain, lower elevations of the Panhandle. And moving on to Sunday. Snow pretty widespread, eastern interior, south of the Brooks Range, and beginning to diminish here for the Kenai Peninsula and south central Alaska. And even the Matanuska Valley conditions should start to clear out tomorrow afternoon in those areas. And then big storm out over the Bering Sea with, again, gale, hurricane force wind warnings for the western Aleutians, hurricane force wind warnings out, and hurricane force wind warnings out for Kamishak Bay as well, and gales for southern Cook Inlet. And moving on to the day Monday, low pressure continues to weaken, but still dominating the Bering Sea there with snow and gusty winds, and the low weakening now, but another front develops and pushes into the Panhandle for rain and gusty winds. Snow diminishing, but lingering over the Copper River Basin, dry and cold over the central northern interior. Lows tonight in the 30s to near 40 for the Panhandle. Teens, Copper River Basin, upper teens, mid-20s, south central Alaska, below 0 west of the Alaska Range to single numbers northeast Bristol Bay, and 20s Kodiak Island, 25 to 45 below for the northern interior, but 5 below to 15 below around the Tanana Valley, to 15 below St. Lawrence Island, 15 above for the Pribilofs, and in the lower 30s for the Aleutians, 20s for the Alaska Peninsula. Highs tomorrow near 30 for Kodiak as that cold air pulls back in, and upper 30s, lower 40s for the Panhandle, 20 south central Alaska, near 20 Copper River Basin, single numbers above 0 there for the Tanana Valley, but below 0 to the west and north of there, and 30s, lower 40s for the Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula. And then for Monday morning, colder air back into south central Alaska to just above 0 there, and mid-20s Kodiak Island, upper 20s northern Panhandle, otherwise lower 30s elsewhere, and below 0 north and west of the Alaska Range continues, just above freezing for the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And then the highs Monday afternoon, 30s to near 40 for the Panhandle. Teens, mid to upper, south central Alaska, Matanuska Susitna Valley. Upper 20s down along the North Gulf Coast, near 40 for Kodiak, about 10 in the Copper River Basin, and 5 to 10 above for the Tanana Valley. And then below 0, coldest for the North Slope out to the Arctic coast, still below 0 for St. Lawrence Island. And 30 to 35, Bristol Bay, upper 30s for the eastern Aleutian areas, and the Pribilofs, the Pribilofs in the mid 30s for your highs. And
now, aviation weather around Alaska.
The flying weather, we've got pretty good VFR, northern Bering Sea, St. Lawrence Island, Norton Sound, northwest interior there, into the western Koyukuk Valley, western Brooks Range. Marginal VFR, western Arctic coast, and then band of IFR right up the just south of the Yukon River there into the Fairbanks area, up toward Eagle, but not quite making it there, and some IFR northern Cook Inlet into the Talkeetnas. Lots of IFR coming into the southwestern interior there, Bristol Bay, south side of the Alaska Peninsula, but marginal for the Panhandle. And then for the afternoon, IFR into western Prince William Sound, Cook Inlet, back west across the Alaska Range, Kuskokwim Valley, on down across the southwest coast, actually all the way into the Pribilof Islands. Improving conditions, though, western Aleutians out there, and then some IFR south side of the Alaska Peninsula. And for Monday morning, a lot of IFR across southern Alaska from the Bering Sea there, St. Matthew, St. George, St. Paul Island, eastward into the southwest interior and northeastward there up all the way to the border and across the Gulf of Alaska into the Panhandle with VFR up to the north, except for the western Arctic coast. Some marginal VFR St. Lawrence Island. And for Monday afternoon, lots of IFR in the central and eastern interior areas into the southeast coast and also the western Aleutians with VFR, kind of an area there from the northern Bering Sea and across the North Slope and eastern Arctic coast. Passes tomorrow, Anaktuvik and Adigan, IFR at times. And for Lake Clark and Merrill, starting out marginal but becoming VFR into the afternoon. And for rainy, IFR becomes VFR. And windy, though, has lingering IFR northern entrance the entire day. VFR out the south side into the northern Susitna Valley, and marginal VFR in through the pass itself. So lowest conditions north of the mountains, better conditions to the south is about sums it up for the windy Isabel passes. Mentastic, you think occasional IFR. And Tanita, marginal VFR becomes VFR. And for Portage, IFR improves to VFR, so lower conditions in the morning for both those two passes. Chilkoot and White looks IFR the entire day. And freezing levels there, shifting eastward, a higher freezing level area there, 2,000 to 4,000 feet, central and southern southeast coast. At the surface now, right along the south coast of the Kenai Peninsula, into Kodiak Island, east side there, with that colder air pushing southward again and southeastward with the low center pulling east there and those northerly winds, actually south of the Pribilofs, and then that next pretty good front and those strong winds pulling warmer air back to the north, but just 2,000 to 4,000 feet in over Adak and Atka. And moving on to the icing charts, we've got, with the main two systems, obviously they kind of stand out pretty good there. The one moving into the Panhandle, got some areas of moderate rime icing. By tomorrow afternoon, it'll be mostly over the southeast part of the southeast coast there, and then some lingering up along the eastern North Gulf Coast, say Elfin Cove and to Yakutat, with icing threats into the central eastern Copper River Basin, actually getting north of the Alaska Range a little bit there, say Northway Toke, maybe Chicken, possibly as far north as Eagle, but if it does, it'll be not too significant. And then the area there in the central interior, just a threat of some light icing there. And then with that next front, looks like the Pribilofs could see some considerable moderate rime icing in a narrow band over the north central Bering Sea. Otherwise, light to isolated moderate rime along and ahead of the front, back out over the western Aleutians, more of a mixed icing condition out there. And for the jet stream, the low coming eastward there will set up late tomorrow afternoon over the eastern North Gulf Coast as the whole pattern is kind of progressive there from west to east. So we've got northwest winds 145, 150 knots there coming down across the interior, and then southwest up to 200 knots over the central Aleutians. That next big storm farther out to the west there, 125 knots cutting across and just south of the Panhandle. And at 9,000 feet, next big storm out over the western Bering Sea, 80 to 90 knot winds with that on the south side of that feature. Otherwise 70 to 80 out of the southwest there, pushing into the Fox Islands, eastern Aleutians. And the northwest is possibly as high as 80 knots blowing across Kodiak Island. And then 40 to 75 knot west-southwesterlies into the Panhandle. And at 3,000 feet, low pressure shifts eastward there into the eastern North Gulf Coast. Weak pattern over the interior. Big storm out west, 40 to 70 knot winds along and ahead of the front with severe turbulence. Barren Islands and the western Alaska Range, Kamishak Bay.
Hello. I'm a GOES-R series weather satellite orbiting 22,000 miles above Earth. I can see a lot of cool stuff from up here, and I take pictures of it with my spiffy camera that has 16 different settings. I have such good eyesight, I can see clouds, snow, smoke, smog, and ash, so I can warn you about dangerous conditions and help you avoid them. When storms are brewing, I watch them closely and help with hurricane, tornado, and flood warnings to help keep you safe. And my lightning mapper tracks lightning strikes way up in the sky, even through dark, dense clouds. I also help with search and rescue missions. I listen for distress signals from emergency beacons and tell search and rescue teams just where to find people who need help. But even when I'm keeping a close eye on Earth, I'm monitoring weather out here in space, too. I watch the sun for big bursts of energy, which send waves of radiation toward Earth that can affect power grids, block communication with planes, cause errors in GPS, and damage satellites. Space weather is also very dangerous for astronauts working outside the International Space Station. I warn them so they can get inside where they'll be safe. So the next time you watch a weather report or check your phone for the forecast, remember, that's me. So look to the sky and wave. I'll be here. Whoa! Things are looking pretty bad down there. But don't worry. I'm going to give weather forecasters a heads up and help you stay safe. I'm a GOES-R series weather satellite, and one of my jobs is to keep an eye on Earth's weather as I orbit above. But I'm 22,000 miles above Earth. How does your local weather forecaster know what I see all the way up here? First, I have to figure out what's going on. I point my special camera at the Earth and take pictures of the clouds I see below. My pictures show where the clouds are, but I also take lots of other notes about the clouds. For example, how high they reach into the atmosphere, how much rain they might cause, and when a severe storm may be forming. But I can't keep all of this information to myself. I have to share it with weather forecasters down on Earth. A big antenna is waiting for my call. Since I'm a satellite, I send my pictures and notes in a computer language of ones and zeros. Luckily, the antenna speaks my language. Computers connected to the antenna organize my notes and combine all of the pictures and cloud information and translate them into weather maps. They send a version of the maps back up to me. I'll hold on to these for later. Another copy of the maps is split into smaller pieces. This helps the maps move faster from one place to another. The map pieces are then sent for processing before being sent back up in the sky to a communication satellite. From there, the maps are picked up by antennas at the National Weather Service forecast offices in each region. There are more than 100 offices. I also take the maps that I received and send them out to companies that specialize in making the maps more colorful and better for viewing on TVs and computers. The colorful maps and the maps from the forecast offices then go to your local weather forecaster. The forecaster combines the information from these maps with lots of other information, like model forecast data and radar data, to make predictions about the upcoming weather in your area. And that's how I help you find out if bad weather is going to ruin your afternoon plans. You're welcome. Soon it will be my time to shine in outer space. I'm the GOES-R satellite. That stands for Geostationary Operational Environmental Satellite. And the R stands for my order in this series of weather satellites. Like my older siblings before me, I'll do a lot for watching weather, but I'm pretty special because I have a lot of new gadgets. I'm originally from Colorado, but my journey to space has a few stops along the way. I'll be shipped in a very special satellite shipping container to Kennedy Space Center. Moving me around is not easy. I'm over 18 feet wide and weigh 6,000 pounds. And then things get really exciting. I get loaded onto an Atlas V541 launch vehicle. A big rocket! Woo! After Atlas and I blast off together, my compartment separates from the launch vehicle and I continue to climb higher and higher. Then I break away completely and unfurl my solar panel and antenna. After that, I have to use my thrusters to get into just the right position, 22,000 miles above the ground and traveling 1.9 miles per second to keep up with Earth's rotation. And then I can officially start my job along with my fellow GOES sisters, where I take advanced pictures for more accurate weather forecasts, map lightning in real time, and improve the monitoring of the sun's activity. It's going to be so awesome! I can't wait!
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Coastal water forecast for the Panhandle tomorrow. Small craft advisories, southwesterlies 25 to 30 knots there on the south coast. For the north coast, south to southwest 30 knots with seas just under 20 feet. Small craft advisories for the all the inside waters there with Clarence Strait 25 knots from the south, 30 knot southerlies for the central northern inside waters with 6-foot seas. And for the day on Monday, small craft advisories along the coastline there while winds come down over the inside waters. Pretty uniform, 20 knots there from the south with 4-foot seas, but for the south coast, west-southwest 25 to 30 knots and seas just under 20 feet, and seas right around 20 feet from the north coast where winds will be out of the south and southwest at 25 to 30 knots. And for Prince William Sound tomorrow, big increase in the winds coming up there with gale warnings out and storm force wind gusts from the northwest to 50 knots expected, seas to about 7 feet. Small craft advisories eastern North Gulf Coast, and then full gales for the western North Gulf Coast out of the northwest at 45 knots. We've got top storm force winds for the Barren Islands, northwest 60 knots, 25-foot seas, and then hurricane force wind warning out for Kamishak Bay, west 65 knots sustained, seas 27 feet, 40-knot northwest winds for gales, southern Cook Inlet. And for the day Monday, northern Cook Inlet misses out on the big winds, north at 15, and small craft advisories for the southern Cook Inlet, Kamishak Bay area, northeast at 25. Small craft advisory now for the Barren Islands and the North Gulf Coast. In case of the Barren Islands, west 30 knots, western North Gulf Coast, northwest 25, south 25 there from Middleton Island. Prince William Sound really coming down the winds on Monday, north 15, 2-foot seas. And for Kodiak tomorrow, storm warnings. Shelikof Strait, west 50 knots, gusts 65, sustained northwest 55 knots east side of Kodiak. And then Sitkinak to Kessel Cape, storm warnings northwest 50 knots, gale warnings for Bristol Bay, northwest 35, gale warnings for the north side of the Alaska Peninsula there, Bering Sea side, southeast 35, and then Sitkinak to Kessel Cape, or Cape Sarachef to Sitkinak, west at 30. And then for the day Monday, storm warnings for the Alaska Peninsula from the southwest and northwest there, depending on which side of the peninsula you're on, seas 30 to 35 feet. Full gales from Castle Cape up to Sitkinak and the east side of Kodiak, west 45 knots there, and small craft advisory Shelikof Strait and Bristol Bay. And 45 knot southerlies for the Fox Islands tomorrow, with seas running 15 to 22 feet, and storm warnings Adak and Atka for southerlies at 50 knots sustained, 20 to 26-foot seas, 55 knot southwest winds for Amchitka Island, and hurricane force wind warnings there for Kiska Island to Shimianatu, gusts 85 miles per hour, seas around 50 feet. And then on Monday, those come down to 55 knots and the seas subside to 37 feet, 55 knot winds there. So storm warnings out across all of the Aleutian chain. Along and north of the chain there, 55 knots out of the west, and Pacific side, west 50 knots, seas running 35 to 40 feet. And then for the southwest coast, east 25 to 30 knots, southeast 40 for the Pribilofs, east 45 St. Matthew Island, north 30 knots for St. Lawrence Island. And for Monday, gale warning St. Lawrence Island, northeast 35 knots, and northeast 30 knots there, Yukon Delta coast, 45 knots northern Bering Sea out of the northeast, and west 40 for the Pribilof, southwest 30 there into Kuskokwim Bay. And for the central eastern Beaufort, or most of the Beaufort Sea coast, tomorrow light winds out of the north on the west and central coast at 10 knots, north to northeast 5 to 10 east side, 20 knots, Wales to Cape Thompson, first wind advisories Cape Thompson to Wales. Out of the north at 30 knots. And then for Monday, still northerlies 30 knots, Wales to Cape Thompson to Cape Beaufort. There we've got gale warnings, northeast 35 knots, 15 to 20 knot northeast winds for the central and west side, and brisk wind advisories for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, east-northeast 25. And for tonight, quite a gradient develops as that storm deepens in the Gulf of Alaska. Snow and blowing snow increase. High wind warning Kodiak Island tonight into tomorrow. Heavy snow warning northern Panhandle, Klondike Highway, Skagway, and Haines for up to 5 to 12 inches of snow with winds gusting 40 miles an hour. And then here's the big storm out west with hurricane force wind warnings and storm warnings pushing in toward Adak by late tonight, early tomorrow. High pressure over the eastern Bering Sea shifts inland. Keeps it cold and dry with light winds over the west and northwest interior, snowy over the eastern interior, and a storm rages out over the Bering Sea.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.